Okay, so hello and welcome to another Dungeons and Dragons character creation guide. My name is Bailey, or if you prefer, my name is Relks. I am today going to be teaching you guys how to create a Paladin for Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition. We're going to stick to the races of the first handbook for matters of making things faster and easier. So let's get started with our race. Now, what type of paladin do we want to make? Currently, I am really liking Dragonborn paladins. They're tough, they're strong, they're tanky. However, I want to do something different. I want to do something that I haven't seen before. So I think we're going to actually make a elf paladin. Just 1 second. Someone texted me, and it's strangely enough about D&D. We're supposed to be having a session tomorrow, so we're just clarifying if that's going to happen. All right, so let's start. We are going to make an elf. So we go to page 40. All right, so race will be elf. Class will be paladin. Of course, it'll be a level 1. They are a medium size, and elves can live for hundreds of years. If we scroll down a little bit, it'll tell us right here. Elves mature at the same rate as humans, but show few effects of age past adulthood. The first sign of an elf's advancing age is typically a change in hair color, sometimes gray, but usually darkening or taking on more ornamental hues. Most elves live to be well over 200 years old. Just 1 second again. Okay, just had to tell them I was busy. So we're going to make this elf. I like paladins to be the wise, the strong, the justice. So we're going to make him 213 years old. It's going to be another male. Now, I tend to actually like making female characters more than male characters. I don't know why. That's just the type of person I am. However, there's certain classes that I feel you have to be a male for, and these are one of them. Female paladins are definitely doable, but I just feel kind of better being a male paladin. Height, we're going to make this guy 6 foot. Well, actually, we'll make him 6 foot exactly, and he'll weigh the max of 170 pounds. He's quite heavy. Now, paladins, they're naturally good. Like, they're good. So we're going to be making this paladin alignment lawfully good. His deity we'll get to later. Level 1, so we know that stuff is going to be a 0 there. Elf's base movement speed is 7. Their vision is low light. And they get a +2 in dexterity and wisdom. So put that there. +2 in dex and wiz. Languages known are common and elven. Misspell elven. There we go. Skill bonuses. So get a skill bonuses +2 to nature and perception. We'll put that in right there. So in nature, we get a 2, and in perception, we get a 2. We also get elven weapon proficiency. And by now you should know that I like putting my proficiencies down here. So you gain proficient with longbow and short bow, which for the type of paladin I want to make will be good. What other proficiencies do we get? We also are proficient. Well, that will come with the paladin class, so we'll get to that later. Next is Fae Origin. You don't really have to pay too much to this. This basically means that if something were to happen that targets the type of creature you are, you would be considered Fae. Now, it doesn't give you anything else. That's really all based on what your GM does or chooses to do. Group awareness. Non-elf allies within 5 squares gain +1 bonus to perception checks. +1 to perception. Next is Wild Step. Ignore difficult terrain, which is also something that your DM would incorporate. And then we also get the move Elven Accuracy, which is listed right here as free action. Reroll an attack. Reroll an attack rolls. Use the second roll even if it's lower. So there's all the race features. We have all the stuff there. We're going to go put in our encounter Elven Accuracy. Now, clearly, you'd prefer to play someone who uses ranged as an elf. However, there is nothing saying that you can or can't be so, which is why I thought it'd be fun to kind of do this. So Paladin begins on page 89. Paladin, I am the righteous shield of Moradin and a sword in his mighty hand. I fear no evil. Now, just because you're a paladin doesn't mean your deity has to be Moradin, but it's a pretty good deity to follow. So, other weapon proficiencies you have that we'll put with the long and short bow are simple melee, military melee, and simple ranged. Along, we have armor proficiencies for cloth, leather, hide, chainmail, scale, plate, light shields, and heavy shields. Our implements are holy symbols. Now, if you're watching this after the cleric one of the questions you might have is, hey, you didn't explain implements. I actually just remembered I didn't. So basically, implements are things that help you use a move. So if you have a move that gains a bonus, if you have an implement and you have the implement and use it, you can get a bonus. For example, if I had a move that healed, and part of its thing was a divine implement, and I had an implement, my implement would pay into factor of me being able to heal. All right, hit points. Gain 6 per level. Implement holy symbols. And let's see here. We get a bonus to defense, +1 fortitude, reflex, and will. Let's go put that in. So under class, we get 1, 1, 1. All of these get 10. And our key abilities are strength, charisma, and wisdom. So next, we're going to actually roll our stats for this Paladin. So I'm going to be focusing more in strength, wisdom, and dexterity. And I'll explain why in a minute. I'm just loading up my app right now to roll my die because I don't really want to find the dice in my bag. It's kind of far away. So let's get rolled. The first number I rolled here is I rolled a 6, a 3, a 2, and a 4. 6, 3, 4. That is 10, 13. With that 13, we are going to write it right here just so we can compare it to the rest later on. The next roll is 4, 4, 2, and 1, 8 for a total of 10. Our third roll is 2 6s and 2 1s. So 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Overall, I'm liking the curve of these stats. 5, 5, and 3 for a total of another 13. That's 4. Fifth one. 2 of the dice landed on top of each other. I'm just going to re-roll. That was weird. I've never seen that with this app. 5, 5, and 4 for 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more. And we got 5, 5, and 6. That's a good one. 16. All right. Now that we got these stats, we can determine where we want to put them. Now, Paladin is currently my main character, so I'm fairly familiar with Paladins, and I know a number of things. Strength and charisma are incredibly important for Paladins. A lot of your moves revolve around strength and charisma. So you're going to want to put an even balance into those. Since we have this +2 with dexterity and wisdom, I'm not going to put the 14 or 60 in there. Instead, I'm going to give both of them one of my 13s, raising the wisdom to 15 and my dexterity to 15. That gets rid of these two 13s. Next, intellect isn't that needed because, well, if this was 5th edition, intellect would be everything. But in 4th edition, wisdom is what we prefer over the intellect. So we're going to put the 10 into intellect. Next, we have strength, constitution, and charisma. Depending on what we choose here will depend on how strong we're going to be. So we're going to sidetrack a little bit, and we're actually going to look at our at-will powers and our encounter powers, because this will determine what we want to focus. And here's why. As you can see, we're split. We got 2 attacks here focusing on charisma, and we got 2 attacks here focusing on strength. At level 1, you get 2 at-wills and 1 encounter. Over here on the encounter side, we can see that 2 of them are strength, 2 of them are charisma. So now we're going to look and we're going to see what attacks sound more interesting to us. The ones focusing in charisma or the ones focusing in strength. Let's take Bolstering Strike. This is one of my favorite moves. It's a charisma versus AC. 1 weapon plus charisma modifier damage, and you gain temporary hit points equal to your wisdom modifier. This is powerful, and it's not too overpowered. Right now with 15, we get 2 temporary hit points from it. With my character Coldrith right now, his wisdom modifier is at 5. So that's 5 temporary hit points that he gains. It's actually pretty OP. Next is Enfeebling Strike. Charisma modifier damage. If you mark the target, it takes a -2 penalty to attack rolls until the end of your next turn. Now you might be going, well, how do I mark it? One of your class features of the Paladin allows you to mark. We'll get to that later on. Holy Strike is a strength versus AC, where you do radiant damage, and if you mark the target, you gain a bonus to the damage roll equal to your wisdom modifier. You can see why wisdom's pretty important. And then Valiant Strike is just a hard-hitting strength modifier damage that does 1 extra damage per adjacent minion enemy to you. Now, let's look at the encounters. We got down at the bottom here, Fearsome Strike. It's a charisma versus AC, 2 weapon, and until the end of your next turn, the target takes a penalty to attack rolls equal to your wisdom modifier. That is really good. Piercing Smite. Strength modifier versus damage. The target and any number of minions adjacent to you equal to your wisdom modifier are marked until the end of your next turn. So right here, this is also another way you can mark. You can use this to mark your target, and then you can follow it up with Enfeebling Strike. So if you want to run a mixture, you can, but we want to know which stats we want to put more into first. Radiant Smite. It's just a big 2-weapon hit. Shielding Smite. Until the end of your next turn, 1 ally within 5 squares of you gains a power bonus to AC equal to your wisdom modifier. Now, taking all of these moves, what seems the best? Well, for encounters, Shielding Smite and Piercing Smite are both really good. One of them is a strength versus AC, another is a charisma versus AC. And in the at-wills, the ones that are really good are Enfeebling Strike, which is a charisma versus AC, and Holy Strike, which is a strength versus AC. So, what do we choose? Well, for starting, I think it would be best that we got to think, what are we going to be? And I want to kind of be the type of tank that reduces the enemy physically. So what we're going to do is we are going to go with Piercing Smite, we are going to go with Enfeebling Strike, and we're going to go with Holy Strike. Now that we have those moves, we'll quickly do our dailies since we're here. We got 3 dailies we can choose from. One is a big charisma versus will hitter, and once per round, the target takes a 1d8 damage after making an attack on its turn, with a save ends dealing half damage if you miss. Paladin's Judgment is a big hit, and 1 ally within 5 squares spends a healing surge. And then Radiant Dilemma is another big hitter, and the target is dazed into the end of turn. In addition, target takes a -2 penalty to AC with a save ends. Now, for the type of Paladin we're going, I'm kind of torn between Paladin's Judgment and Radiant Delirium. So, in a matter of trying something new, since I'm currently using Paladin's Judgment on my Coldrith, we are going to go with Radiant Delirium. And we're heading towards more charisma. So we're going to put this 16 into charisma, this 14 into strength, and this 13 into constitution. Now I'm going to go up and we will, before putting, oh, that's not right at all. We do not have an ability modifier, 14. Oh, I wish. That would just be amazing. Next, we get other things. We get some encounter powers. So, class features, we get the channel divinity of divine metal, and we have the channel divinity of divine strength. Along with, we also have Divine Challenge, which is an at-will. Divine Challenge marks the target, and gives the target a -2 penalty to attack rolls of any attack that doesn't include you as the target. Also takes radiant damage equal to 3 plus your charisma modifier the first time it makes an attack that doesn't include you as a target before the start of your next turn. And then it increases as you level up. So we also gain one last thing, which is Lay on Hands. So this is a very strong Paladin. Now, when it comes to class features, you are pretty torn because you have 2 at wills, and sometimes you get leeway depending on your DM or not. But usually, how it is, you'll choose one of each class feature. So out of these 2 class features, I'll choose one of them and get that at will and get that encounter. Right now on Coldrith, I'm using Lay on Hands because I get to spend a healing surge and I get to heal myself for quite a lot. However, this Paladin isn't leading towards healing as much as it is giving your opponent status effects. So we're going to give him the Divine Challenge class feature. Along with that, we are going to just so we can pack a punch, we're going to throw in Divine Strength as well. And that is our powers. That is our class features. Now we can put in our ability modifiers and skills. We're going to do the skills real fast. We get a training in religion. And then from the class listed below, we choose 3 more trained skills. And we are going to go diplomacy because he's old, he's wise. He knows how to talk to people. But we're also going to choose intimidate because when you get on his bad side, you just feel that, well, you're screwed. And finally, we're going to choose insight. He is aware of his surroundings and is well capable of taking care of himself. So now we're going to go to page 17 of the player's handbook and put in our ability modifiers. We got a 10 here, which gets a 0. However, we got a 16 here, which gives us a nice 3 modifier. We got a 15 for a 2 modifier. We got a 14 for a 2 modifier. 13 for a 1 modifier, and another 15 for another 2 modifier. Since we're at level 1, all of these stay the same. And now we can put in our modifiers. So we got a 2 here, a 2 here, and a 3 here. Add them all together. We got a 14 in will. We got a 13 in reflex. And we got a 13 in fortitude. Our dex mod is 2, so we have an initiative of 2. Next, let's finish putting in the rest of the skills. So, dexterity mod is 2. Intellect mod is 0. Our strength mod is 2. Charisma is 3. Wisdom is 2. Constitution is 1. Wisdom is 2. Intellect is 0. Wisdom is 2. 3. 2. 2. 0. 2. 3. 2. Tally them all together. We got 2, 0, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 1, 2, 0, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4, another 4, 5, 2, 3, not 32, 2. We have a passive insight of 17 and perception of 14. Our max hit points, if we go back to Paladin, which is on page 89, is 15 plus the Constitution score. Says 26, 27. That is a total hit points of 28. Half of 28 is 14 for our bloody. We get 10 plus constitution modifier, so we get 11 surges a day. And 28 divided by 4. 28 divided by 4 is 7. And our healing surge value is 7. So now we've covered all of that. Next, we are going to find a deity that is most suited for this guy. So we chose lawfully good. So let's see what lawfully goods. We have Bahamut here. He upholds the highest ideals of honor and justice, constantly vigilant against evil and opposed in all fronts, protects the weak, liberate the obsessed, and defends just order. What other lawfully goods are there? There's tons more than just this. This is just in this handbook. We're actually going to go with Moradin. Also to try something new, because I follow Obama on my other character. So Moradin here. Be adversary with the whatever that says. Demonstrate loyalty to your family, your clan, your leaders, and your people. Strive to make a mark on the world, a lasting legacy, make something that lasts in the highest good. Whether you are a smith working at a forge or a ruler building a dynasty. And that's the type of paladin I want to be. This paladin wants to become a ruler of a strong, peaceful society, this empire that just cannot be defeated. But every leader has to start at the bottom, like he is right here. Now that we finished that, we can start doing the equipment. So we are going to go to 212. And this paladin is going to be tanky as hell. I don't want him being hit at all. So, well, what's his highest armor he can wear? Well, plate, giving a +8 bonus, but a -2 check and -1 speed. You know what? He doesn't care. This paladin is wearing himself a nice set of plate armor. So we get -2 to all of these right here. -2, -2. Changing that to 0. Changing that to 0. Changing that to -1. Changing that to 0. Changing that to 0. And we also gain a -1 in speed. However, with a dexterity mod, actually, I am proficient with it. Yep. So with a dexterity mod of 2, I gain 10 AC. So now, with a strong 20 AC, this dude ain't being messed with. But we're not done. Because we're also giving him a heavy shield. Why? So he is the tankiest thing known to mankind. So this heavy shield gives a +2 to AC, raising it to 22. He receives a -2 check. So all these -2 checks become -4 checks. May not be so good in the long term, but for now, nothing's hitting him. So he doesn't care. So this becomes -2. This becomes -2. This becomes -3. This becomes -2. And this becomes -2. So there's nothing else here. So 22 AC, our max speed is 6. The only thing left is the weapon. So what type of weapon is he going to be wielding? Well, let's take a look. Usually I go for a long sword, but I want to try out something different. For starters, one weapon he is going to have, which is Dexterity versus AC is his longbow. Longbow. Longbows, where are they? Longbow right there is 1d10. And in the attack workshop, we're going to put longbow. We add our dex mod, which is 2 classes to give thing, and the proficiency bonus, since we are proficient with it, is 2, so we get a +4 with it. Also in the longbow, our ability mod is dexterity of 2. We haven't chose our feat yet, however, we're not going to get a feat that increases damage, so we get a +2 damage with our longbow. Along with the longbows, that we'll write down here. Longbow with a quiver of 100 arrows. Next, we're going to be looking at the military melee one-handed weapons. We gotta pick which one we want to use. So we could use a battle axe, a flail, a hand axe, a long sword, a scimitar, a short sword, a throwing hammer, a war hammer, or a war pick. It's actually quite a hard choice. I think just for the sakes of simplicity and classic Paladin, we are going to go long sword, which is a 1d8 +3 proficiency, and the versatility 1d10 +3 proficiency if we go two-hand. Go up here. Longsword is strength versus AC. That's AV, not AC. Strength versus AC. Longsword. This one is 1d8. This one is 1d10. For the long sword, it's our strength mod, which is 2, proficiency of 3 for 5. Long sword, ability mod of 2, nothing else, 2. The only thing left to do is select our feats, which we're going to do right here. So feats, page 190. And this elf, Paladin, is going to get a feat called Linguist, which allows him to choose 3 languages and fluently speak and write those languages. So we're now able to fluently speak Dwarven, Draconic, and Supernatural. Clearly, this Paladin has been on many adventures and has been able and has learned some pretty useful talents. So let's look over here. So here is another Paladin. He is an elf, 213 years old, 22 AC, 13 Fortitude, Reflex, 14 Will. Overall, he is pretty balanced. He has 28 HP, which is, pretty good considering he has 22 AC. He can move 6 squares, which is good. He has 3 at wills, 3 encounters, and 1 daily power. He has a good set of armor, and he has some gold left over. Gold doesn't really, let's say he has like 20 gold left over. And this is where you put his image, personality, background stuff. And yes, so there you guys have it. That is a brief overview of how to create a Paladin for 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons. This Paladin has been focused more on penalizing the enemies as well as not getting hit over dealing a lot of damage and healing a lot. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe and check out future content. I will be doing every single class and race of the Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition as well with the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. So stay tuned. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Until then, have a nice day.